It's only, I would like to welcome you all to this seminar, Piracy Outside the Somaliland Coast. How do we stop it? Please welcome, there's a few seats left. My name is Cindy Sturesson, and I work as a program officer at Folk och Försvar, Society and Defense. And I will be the moderator this afternoon. First, a few practical things. We are streaming this seminar, and you will find it on our website. So please wait for the microphone later when we have the Q&A session. If you want to talk about this seminar on Twitter, please use hashtag #FOFSEM. Right. Good to see so many of you here. Since 2008, there has been a sharp rise in attacks by pirates off the coast of Somaliland, Puntland, and Somalia on ships transiting the Gulf of Aden and the Indian Ocean. These attacks have a negative impact on the peace and security of the region, especially since armed gangs have been hijacking vessels and demanding ransoms for the release of both vessels and crew. During 2012, the Somali pirates have been under more pressure than during the last 5 years. How long will this last, and what options do the pirates have? How can Somaliland play a role in finding a solution to this problem when Somalia is such an unstable country? What are the Swedish Navy's experience regarding this? That was a few questions that we hope to answer during this seminar. And now I have the pleasure to introduce Mr. Abdurrahman M. Abdullahi. He's a speaker of the House of Representatives in Somaliland, and he will talk about the security policy of Somaliland and the consequences for piracy. Please, you can introduce yourself a bit more if you want to. The stage is yours. Please. Yeah.
Good afternoon to all of you who have the opportunity to be present in this hall, as well as those who may be viewing this meeting, this conference in the internet. I am from Somaliland. Somaliland historically has been a British colony, and it became independent on 26 June 1960. But it made a union with Somalia 5 days later. But it reclaimed its independence again on 18 May 1991. So most of you, it's very difficult to differentiate between Somalia and Somaliland. Countries have been together once, and they have separated. I've read in your history that Norway was once part and parcel of Sweden, as well as Finland. My country, which is still unrecognized by the international community, has a population of about 3.5 million. It has a coastline of about 1,000 kilometers. And it has reclaimed its independence on 18 May 1991. Somaliland is fully cooperating with the international community to fight against this piracy, which have made the difficulties of lives of many Somalis as well as the international community very difficult. It hindered international trade all over the world, and as a consequence, most of the ships who goes to travel in the world have introduced it. The shipping, the insurance companies have doubled and tripled the insurance costs of these ships, and as a result, all the commodities, as a consequence, have been doubled or tripled. To say for you, Somaliland, in its cooperation with fighting against piracy, the Parliament of Somaliland has passed the following legislations. The Parliament has passed anti-piracy law, law number 52, in 2012. As well, it has passed Prisoners Transfer Act law, law number 53. Both acts has been passed by the Parliament in February 2012. And according to the international law and the laws of Somaliland, Somaliland is cooperating fully with the international community in the anti-piracy initiative. Somaliland has, as a result of this, has signed protocols and agreements with many friends in the world. I can mention Seychelles, which keeps about 104 pirates, Somali pirates, in its prisoners. And as a result of that agreement, the two governments have agreed that those who are willing and choose to stay in the prisons of Somaliland can be transferred to Somaliland. And the first batch of Somali pirate prisoners arrived from Seychelles in March 2012. They were 17 prisoners. And the second batch has arrived in Somaliland in December 2012, and they were 12 members. Somaliland courts gave various prison sentences to 52 Somali pirates, while relatively Seychelles courts have sentenced about 29 Somali pirates. Most of these pirates sentenced by Somaliland courts are not originally from Somaliland. Somaliland coastal guards have caught about 37 boats, but mostly it has been confirmed were illegal fishermen. I don't know if I could have shown some photos, but I don't know how. Somaliland has established a coastal guards, which patrols the coasts of Somaliland, and it has trained the Marines who with the coastal guards. It has received modest assistance from some friends, including the British government. And in general, there are many countries in this initiative who are fighting against piracy have captured Somali pirates. There are a dozen or about more than 20 countries who have been in their fight against piracy have captured Somali pirates. According to the data I have, the Somali pirates in prison inside and outside Somalia, Somaliland or Puntland, are about 1,200. And out of these, 1,170 prisoners are kept in 20 countries outside Somalia. These countries include Belgium, Comoros, France, Germany, India, Italy, Japan, Kenya, Madagascar, Malaysia, Seychelles, Maldives, Netherlands, Oman, Republic of Korea, Spain, Tanzania, United States, and Yemen. It seems that the most powerful navies in the world are in the seas of Somalia. But unfortunately, I can say they have been a very hard time to overwhelm these pirates, despite those pirates having small boats and the most powerful navies in the world were in the seas. The number of ships that has been attacked, according to some reports, have been becoming smaller. According to some reports I have, in 2011, we had 233 ships which have been attacked. And in 2012, only 70 ships have been attacked. According to this report, pirates in 2012 have boarded about 125 vessels. I checked 24 vessels, 6 crews were killed, and 448 seafarers has been taken hostage. 58 further attempts were made. This is according to International Marine Bureau. Somaliland is firm in its fight against the piracy. We do believe it might be for the international community much cheaper to support the Somali Marines or coastal guards who are in Somalia, who are in Puntland, who are in Somaliland. I don't have any records, but maybe billions of dollars are spent in Atlanta missions and in separate Marines who have prisoners in Somali seas. We have known that there are very strong prisoners of the international Marines in Djibouti. You can find any European country who was taking part in this fight against the piracy, including the most powerful nations, including United States, United Kingdom, Russia, India, Sweden, or other countries. But we do believe that if more resources is given to those local Somalis in Somalia, Somaliland, and Puntland, it could have been cheaper and it maybe could have been effective as well. There are many reasons for becoming a pirate. The criteria of becoming pirate is not very difficult. You have to have a gun. You have to be a hero, and you have to accept to die. That's the only criteria you need to become a pirate. It's a risky process, but many people believe now it became a multi-million business, not only confined to Somali pirates, but maybe an international crime conglomerate, which many people will take part in this process. We in Somaliland we are firm in fighting against the piracy, and we have in our main resource we have established a marine or coastal guards in Somaliland, and there are these duties. If they are given better opportunities, despite these millions of billions of dollars who are spent in the staying of these marines in the seas of Somalia, these youth could be given better opportunities. They can be trained as fishermen. Employment can be created. So most of these people include are young people who have no employment and no future prospect. So if better opportunities are given to those people who are in the coasts of Somalia, from Kismayo to Seyla, as fishermen, as giving small projects, many millions could have been saved for the international community. And these people could have much better opportunities to work, to find an alternative for piracy. Many of these young people believe that they are fishermen. They have been deprived of their historical livelihoods. So they have no other alternative than becoming a pirate. And this piracy have proved that there is a big risk, and it is an easy way to become rich man as well. So it is our suggestion and proposal that we in Somaliland, I do confirm again, is strongly confirm that we are our fight against piracy, and as well as cooperating with the international community in fighting against piracy, but as well these young pirates. And in the coasts of Somaliland, this yellow part, no ships in that territory have been reported hijacking in the sea of Somaliland, but sometimes young people with boats from our neighbor in Budhcad comes lost or astray in the seas of Somaliland, and some are caught and they are sent to the courts to be sentenced. I think there is a better opportunities for the international community to support, to create livelihoods for the pirates, for the young pirates, instead of imprisoning them of keeping them so long in the prisons. We have to create them for better future in a less costly way. So the international marines from these powerful countries could come home as well. And the seas will be safer if we make this opportunity. And we are strongly in cooperation in fighting against this piracy. I will let you questions if you have. I could have shown some, but unfortunately I can't.
No, I'm sorry. The internet isn't working at the moment. So, all right. Yes. Thank you very much for an interesting speech. And now we have a few minutes for some questions. And I would like to start by asking you, what would you say is the most important factor that have reduced piracy?
Well, I think it is the cooperation of the local authorities in these seas of Somalia,
yes,
Somaliland and Puntland, and the strong willingness of the international community to show a force to bring so many ships. This, I think, made the reduction of the pirates, and they feel the heat and the risk of the pirates themselves.
Yeah. Yes, there's a microphone coming, and please tell us your name.
Thank you, sir, for your presentation. Interesting. My name is Bertil Björkman, and the following question is, have you seen any change of the pattern when it comes to the piracy from starting with maybe poor fishermen with no alternative, that we now can foresee an organized crime organization, as there are millions of dollars to gain from the piracy, and rumors says that it's controlled by international mafia structures. Have you any comment on that?
Well, I think I do believe that all these millions which have been given to the pirates will never end up. All of that money will not end up in the pockets of the Somali pirates. There are other people who are in cooperation with that business, and most of the pirates now feel that they don't get all those money as well, and many of them have voluntarily. Recently, there are in the Somali press that many of these young people have voluntarily said they have gave up being a pirates, and they want to do other business. So I think there may be a factor of truth that there are international crime or mafia in this business.
Thank you. We have another question, please.
My name is Magnus Haglund. I have a more fundamental question, perhaps. I would like to know if Puntland, because I didn't know, is Puntland really internationally recognized as a state of its own? And I have a question also regarding the whole area. It's, what is the tribal situation in the three parts then?
Thank you.
Well, Puntland state is a state of Somalia. They have not claimed they are independent country, but they claim they are a state of Somalia. Puntland state of Somalia. They are not recognized. They are part and parcel of Somalia. Only Somaliland said it want to stay away from Somalia and be recognized as Somaliland. I don't know if I have answered your question.
How is the
tribe.
situation?
The tribal
I
situation.
can recognize the tribal situation, because I can understand. I have experience from West Africa. I know about tribals and the tribes.
Well,
are there different tribes in Puntland and Somalia? That's a very simple question then.
We are all Somalis, and the Europeans have gave surnames instead of clans. But in Somalis, still they keep the names of their tribes, and I think there is the security situation in general in Somalia. There are no tribal conflicts in Somalia at all. There might be some fundamentalists who are fighting against the whole state. And we are Puntland. There are some tribes who are living there, as well as some tribes living in Somaliland and in Somalia, but there is no conflict. And people, they can travel easily. You can travel from Somaliland to Puntland, or from Puntland to Somalia. There is nothing that you can afraid of being. If you are one tribe, that means you cannot go to other parts of Somalia. You can travel easily. There is no risk of going or doing that.
Thank you. We have another question here.
Yes, my name is Carl, and I was wondering, do you think Somaliland would be able to do more about the pirate problem if it was recognized as a sovereign state?
Well, we have tried our best. Now there are about we have now we are keeping Somali pirates who have been in Seychelles in Somaliland. We are cooperating with the international community. We have caught some pirates and gave prison sentences. So, if the international community recognizes Somaliland, it could have done much better than that.
Okay, one last question here in the front row.
I think
Yes, working. Yeah.
And I think I'm rather in a state of questioning. My name is Jama Mahmoud Omar. And instead of questioning, I want to contribute. When it comes to Somaliland and international recognition, already Somaliland has presented various number of pirates that has been transferred from Seychelles. This means the pirates have enmity to Somaliland. They want to retaliate because they see Somaliland as a mechanism working against their ill-gotten resource. And the other contribution I want to make is that in the ground of Somalia, of Puntland, Somaliland, piracy has communities that are hosting them in the ground. There is a place where they want to use their ill-gotten resource. So the international mechanism is to curb, and pirates will not be enough alone unless the local communities cooperate. The pirates got money. With this ill-gotten high much money, they want to marry beautiful women. They want to spend resource. There are people in the ground. So there should be a local initiative within the Somaliland, Puntland, Somali communities to work against piracy. And when it comes to Somaliland has a very lean and mean marine navy, very small, very lean and mean. And if there is an international support that gives them training, boats, and necessary equipment, I am very sure in Somaliland there is only one vessel tracking equipment with the navy, with the yes, armies in the only one simple internet connected vessel tracking equipment.
Yeah.
So there is a need for international support. Thank you very much indeed.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. Would like to comment?
Well, Chama is a former diplomat, Somali diplomat. He's a Somalilander. He's following as well all the efforts that are going in Somaliland. So I thank him for his contribution.
Okay. I would like to thank you very much for a very interesting speech, and I would like to hand over a small gift.
Thank you.
And this is a Swedish handcraft, and this is actually a small glass.
Good.
In which you can put any of your favorite beverage that you
Tea?
like. Tea, yeah, tea could be possible.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Okay, after this first interesting session, we'll go straight over to the next, which is the discussion about these important issues. And I would like to welcome Mikael Torstensson, international entrepreneur. And please introduce yourself a bit more. Sounds very interesting on what you do.
Yes, thank you for
Please.
inviting me here today, Folk and Försvar. And it's an honor to be here with Abdariyam Mohammed Abdullahi from Somaliland today. I'm an international entrepreneur who fell in love with Somaliland for many years ago because it's a very, very special place. About 20 years ago, I lived in Yemen, across the Gulf of Aden from Somaliland, and I worked there as a teacher. And I learned to know people at the Horn of Africa. And I traveled there, and I was invited by the wife of the president of Somaliland at that time. And they gave me an introduction.
Ja, hörde ni mig eller? Ni hörde mig, bra. Nu hörs det ännu bättre. Och jag fick en bild av det här landet och, som var helt... English. I got a impression of this country and was very impressed in what they was doing at that time. And from that time on until now, I kept in touch with Somaliland. And for a little bit more than a year ago, we intensified this contact. And I started to cooperate more with the government of Somaliland and the people in Somaliland to create job opportunities for the population. The unemployment rate is about 70 or 80%. So that's a huge, huge, huge problem. And I believe that this is the root of the problem with pirates from the beginning at least. We have to understand one thing, that there is no such thing as one Somali nation. The Somali people, they live in 5 nations in these areas. We have Somalia, the former Italian colony, Italian Somaliland, that consists of the Mogadishu area, the Maluku state, and Puntland. This used to be an Italian colony. Then we have Somaliland, that used to be a British colony or a protectorate, and Djibouti, that is the former French Somaliland. And then we have a huge Somali population in Ethiopia, about 5-6 million of people. And also in north of Kenya, it's about 2 million of Somalis, I believe. So we have to understand that Somalia is not all Somali people. So it's not a question that all shall unite, because Kenya don't want to release this area, and Ethiopia don't want to release this area. So anyway, we have many separate nations with Somali people. That's very important to understand to begin with. And many times we mix up Somaliland with Somalia. Somalia have huge problems, had for many, many years. And as my friend told here, Somalia once joined the union with Somalia freely. And it didn't work out well. 1991, Somalia collapsed. And before that, the Mogadishu regime was bombing Hargeisa and the Somaliland areas to dust. We have to understand this to understand the history. What did Somaliland do then? Then they united all the clans. This is very interesting. And started to talk with each other. They also invited the clans or the people that used to fight for Mogadishu regime. This is very important to understand. And they reached a union that we will establish a free democratic country in the borders of British Somaliland. And for the last 20 years, they've been working very, very hard to establish this nation. And just the last 10 years, they started about 1,000 primary schools. 1,000. 7 universities without nearly any international support. This is very important to understand. Those people, they are heroes. They've done this without. And with the state budget of about $100 million. I come from south of Sweden, from a small place called Sävsjö. There lives about 11,000 people. Our budget for that town area is $100 million. Can you imagine? We have 11,000 people. They have 3.5 or more, close to 4 million people. And with this tiny budget, they started 1,000 primary schools. The world should applaud this nation. When we speak about piracy, we have to understand one thing also, that piracy doesn't start with the Somalis. The criminal activities in the waters around Somalia and Somaliland started with with fishing vessels from other nations coming fishing illegally here after the collapse of Somalia. And for the small towns here that are dependent on their small-scale fishing, this was a catastrophe. They couldn't survive. So the beginning of this problem started with that some fishermen, one day, they attacked one of those fishing vessels. They boarded them with knives and swords, according to what I heard. And they were giving money to leave the ship. And that was the birth of modern-day piracy at the Horn of Africa. So it was not the Somali or the Somalilanders that started this. It was the lack of protection from the rest of the world that started this problem from the beginning. Nowadays it's big, big business. It's mafia, as we heard, but this is the origin, the root. So I believe to fight this problem at the ground, we need to start where it began. We need to start with employment for people. We need to give them hope. We need to give them a chance to survive. We need to give them work. And we need to show them that it's possible, that we believe in them, that it's possible to create jobs and great possibilities in this region. And here Somaliland is a fantastic example of this. And Somaliland is also an amazing place for an entrepreneur. You know why? Because today they import everything. So it has a lot of potential to start to produce for the local market and then to export. And this is the kind of ideas that we need to put in these people. That they shall not rely on aid and support, but they should rely on the power they have inside of them to create, to change that situation. And I believe that pirates can become fishermen if they can sell their fish. And I believe that this part of the world will not be known for terrorism, piracy, and all those bad things that we hear about, but for new companies, for inventions that change the world, for a lot of positive things. Because inside these people, there is so much power, so much creativity, so much so that they could start their own nation without any support of the rest of the world. And I feel a little bit ashamed that we until now didn't help them more, that we didn't support them more, because they are in a need of this. And I believe that the Somaliland government is the strongest stronghold in the fight against piracy. Because they've shown stability, and they've shown for 20 years that they could build this nation. And now, last time I visited Somaliland, I've been there many times, they graduated the 41st female teachers. And I was so impressed. And their vision is that all girls should go to school, that this should be a nation of freedom, the human rights, and with a growing business climate. And that's why I support Somaliland, and I'm very proud to do that here today. And I believe that we have one chance now to make a difference in this part of the world, and it's now. We don't know about tomorrow. There are many powers, Al-Shabaab, Al-Qaeda movements that want to take over. We heard about the pirates. It's not easy, it's very difficult. But those people are the best chance to really make a difference for this area, is what I believe.
Thank you, Mikael. Thank you very much.
Yes.
Actually, you will come back in a while.
Good.
And I would now like to introduce Håkan Nilsson, Commander WMS Karlskrona during the Operation Atalanta in 2010. And you will have about 10 minutes for an introduction, and then Mikael will come back and we'll have a Q&A session. So if you have any questions, you can start thinking about them now. So please, Håkan, go ahead.
As Cindy said, my name is Håkan Nilsson. I was the commanding officer of HMS Karlskrona during the Swedish mission in 2010. I will be quite reading in my papers for the first 10 minutes and be able to answer questions and have a discussion later on. In a strategic context, the Somali piracy problem is threatening not only by global economy, but also creates great human suffering among merchant seafarers, as we all know. You have to bear in mind that up to 95% of European Union member states' trade is transported by sea, and 20% of global trade is passing through the Gulf of Aden. Considering Sweden, approximately 90% of our import and export is going by keel. So although Sweden is in the very north of Europe, we are a seafarers nation and depending on sea lines of communication. European Union's first naval mission, EUNAVFOR Somalia, Operation Atalanta, was launched and initiated in 2008, depending on the United Nations Security Council resolution and international law, and that is the law of the sea. You have to consider that as far as you're outside a state's territorial waters, the international law of sea applies, which makes this easy in some way and difficult in other ways. EUNAVFOR Atalanta is part of the European Union comprehensive approach in the Horn of Africa. I will elaborate a little bit more later on considering the comprehensive approach. The political objectives are to prevent and deter pirates from interrupting global maritime trade, but also to contribute to a sustainable and long-term solution to piracy through building up the capacity of the states in the region, including Somalia, to take ownership in the fight against piracy. European Union Naval Forces mandate in priority, and this is in priority, is to, first of all, protect vessels of the World Food Programme with humanitarian aid to Somalia, mainly escorting them from Mombasa to Mogadishu and further on to Berbera and Bosaso. Also to protect African Union military mission in Somalia, AMISOM, their shipping to Mogadishu and other vulnerable shipping. Secondly, detect, disrupt, prevent and repress acts of piracy and armed robbery. And third, monitor fishing activities of the coast of Somalia. There is no military end state. You could say that we have a generic political end state, and that is to reduce the level of piracy to a tolerable threshold level. The naval forces operates in an area of operations covering the southern Red Sea, the Gulf of Aden, and a large part of Indian Ocean, including the Seychelles area. The area also includes the Somali coastal territory, as well as its territorial and internal waters. This area of operations is, considering the size of Europe, 1.5 times of the European Union membership states' land area. So it's a vast area. The whole region needs to be considered as a high-risk area, and it still is. The Swedish Navy has 2 times contributed to EUNAVFOR. First in 2009 with the 2 corvettes, Malmö and Stockholm, and a support ship, Kasoo, for 4 months between May and September. The second contribution was in 2010. Initially between April to August, where we served as a command ship as well as for the European Union, and we carried on the mission afterwards between August to December. So the entire mission stretched from April to December 2010. We have also had maritime patrol aircraft from the Swedish Coast Guard in 2010, as well as 2011 and stretching into 2012. And as we speak, the ship Karlskrona is heading for Djibouti, and they will enter the mission, I think it's the 6th of April. I think so. Currently, held by pirates are 2 vessels, that's not much, and 60 hostages. A decreasing number considering historical statistics since 2009. And the historical statistics is quite clear. They're pointing at more than 40 vessels pirated and held yearly during 2009 and 2010. We don't know exactly how many ships. That was the highest pirated, but approximately, I think it was 67 at one time that were held. And occasionally up to 700 hostages in very poor circumstances. Since 2011, there has been a significant decrease, and 2012 only 5 ships were pirated, and during 2013, so far, there has been 11 suspicious moments, 2 attacks, and 1 disruption, and no pirated ship. So what has changed the situation since 2009? The merchant ships have started to implement and follow what we call best management practice. That is passive and active countermeasures for protection of piracy at sea. For example, barbed wires, nets, dummies, heated water, secured citadels, and so on. Since last year, mainly, they have been starting using private armed security teams, PAST, which means that the merchant ships have started to use armed guards, vessel protect detachments, and more than 40% of the ships arm themselves. So that is a big business too today. Approximately 220 security firms with approximately 10,000 employees are active in the area. And this have impact on the sea traffic, of course, not at least in economical terms. Naval operations has transferred from reactive to proactive. So the naval modus operandi includes vessel protection detachment, which means that the participating countries puts their armed forces on board ships that are to be protected. Disruption at sea, which means proactive engagement in suspicious events, and disruption of pirate logistic dumps and anchorages, which started last year, considering an improved European Union mandate. And what about the mission future, considering European Union? Well, it's clear at the moment that the European Union will maintain protection of shipping, continue military pressure whilst other effects catch up, that is governance, security, law enforcement and deployment, and build on international counter-piracy cooperation. last but not least, support the comprehensive approach, which means more or less increase support to other non-military initiatives, which is governance, capacity building, security, as you have heard earlier on, and work increasingly close with local nations and Somalis. And finally, the overall prerequisite is governmental stability in the area, which is absolutely necessary. We have been told that we have a stable surroundings in Somaliland, and I agree. However, in the other areas, considering Somalia, it's not stable. So we are lacking the prerequisites of a stable environment, which means that the means of piracy will still be able to carry on. We need governments who applies to functional states, which takes care of law and order. And the piracy problem will supposedly continue, and thus the need of naval presence in the area from amongst ENF and other countries and coalitions are necessary. Thank you.
Mikael, please come up here. Thank you, Håkan. Thank you very much. Interesting to have your perspective on this. And I was just wondering, Mikael, could you please tell us a bit more about your role and what is it that you do?
Right now we are trying to find out in which areas that we should start to invest in Somaliland, and we do this in cooperation with the government and also with the Somalilanders living in Sweden, because we have a large group of Somalilanders here, the third biggest in the world outside Somaliland actually. And so we are looking into different areas to how to create business, how to do it. You know, it's to build really from the beginning, to build a foundation for this, how to start companies and how to develop them in this environment that we have there in Somaliland. So we are looking into various areas right now for investments.
Okay, thank you. Okay, Håkan, I would like to ask you. How should we view this fact that the vessels, the ships that go through the Gulf of Aden have armed themselves?
That is quite an interesting question. Discussing this issue have many dimensions. It depends on my personal view. It depends considering what flag states the ships are sailing under. We know, for example, that the Swedish vessel companies uses highly controllable entrepreneurs in that area, which means that they are very keen on have firm rules of engagement. They are very keen on having proper business contracts and follow international law. However, we know that the world is have different view on the value of human people. And considering that, we can't take responsibility as a state when a company from another state is deploying armed forces on their merchant ships. Because to be able to carry on with this regarding international law, you will need to state an international framework considering rules of engagement, which we don't have today. This means, in other words, I know that the Swedish ships, the Norwegian ships that are sailing in the area have highly professional watch teams, armed watch teams with firm rules of engagement and they don't shoot until fired upon. I also know that armed forces teams deployed on other country ships from other parts of the world don't have the same rules of engagement. This means that this is an effect, I would say, that the piracy has decreased so significantly during 2012. Because in many cases you will get fired upon even without threatening the ships.
Thank you. I would like, there's now a possibility for you to ask questions. And I will have one here first.
Thank you. My name is Lena Bartosson from Folk och Försvar. I have actually two questions for Håkan Nilsson. You talked about this vast area of operation. Is there a reason to believe that this area will be extended in the future? And also, why has it been so difficult to find these pirates, small fishermen? I can picture small boats, etc. But can you please explain what the challenge has been?
I'll try. Considering the area question, for example, during 2009, when we sent our first Swedish contribution, the area was more or less the Gulf of Aden. However, since its tactics and tactics to handle other tactics, it's a normal role play. As soon as you shut down the possibilities to pirate ships, or limited the possibilities to pirate ships in the Gulf of Aden, the pirates looked for new hunting grounds, which means they expanded as far out in the Indian Ocean as approximately 1,800 nautical miles, which is more or less all the way away to India, and down southwards to as far south as outside Tanzania and Madagascar. And then you will have to respond to that. So that's the area. I don't think that the area issue will expand, considering that if you see a firm line where we have functional states with internal law and order, we have in the north Djibouti, we have Yemen, which is similar, quite stable, and in the south we have Kenya and Tanzania, which means that they do their measures to fight piracy. Considering finding the pirates, we used to try to explain this. If we have at the highest in the area 25 ships, it's like putting 5 police cars on the roads of Europe and try to find a guy who drives too fast. So you have to be on the right place at the right moment.
Okay, thank you. Now we have another question. Idrus.
My name is Idrus Adan, and I want to have a question to Håkan. If it happens that you catch pirates, where are you going to bring justice? Are you going to bring to Sweden or to Kenya, or some? I heard that some army force let them go. So, do you have a plan?
Yeah, that's a tricky question. Yes. It depends, I would say. When I was in the area, we had an exchange agreement with Kenya and the Seychelles. So it all depends on the states in the area. Considering bringing them back to Sweden, we don't have at the moment any firm rules of law to apply on such an occasion, because they haven't been acting against Swedish law as long as they don't attack a Swedish ship, which means that we don't have the grounds of justice to take them to Sweden, which still puts us in a tricky position. So we are totally depending on the states in the area to be able to handle the law issue considering pirates.
Okay, thank you. I would just, we have another question. I think it's on.
How to use this one?
I think it's on. It's supposed to be on.
Very good.
Try.
My name is Björn Sonen. I've been working in the area. Lived in Yemen for a number of years, and a country with a lot of hijacking, etc., etc. First, I would like to comment on Mr. Torstensson when he says that when he started, it was because fishing ships from other countries took advantage of the situation and outfished the areas. And I quite agree to that, and I can also fully understand those fishermen groups who responded accordingly. However, it soon developed to an industry defended by sheikhs from Dubai and all those countries, the millions of money taken out of torturing people, taking prisoners, putting them here, putting them there, doing that in the eyes of the politicians who live in Somaliland, Puntland and Somalia. Makes no difference. They were all involved, more or less. We all know that, and we shouldn't try to hide those facts. And I can see no excuse whatsoever about this. And this is what the issue that one has to look into. How could it happen that so many other countries got involved in siphoning all this money that were given to the so-called pirates for this kind of dirty work they were doing later on? That's the comment I had on your. Then I have, as a layman, a question here, which I would like to ask. If we go back to the first, let's say, 2-3 years of the development of this pirating, how come that with all the technical ability that we have today, that one could not stop this by, excuse me now, I'm a layman when I say this, so the question might sound stupid to some people. Why couldn't it come out from the international community to all fishermen? Only small boats you're allowed to have, only, let's say, 2 miles out from the coast. Any other boat outside of that, and any speedboat will be sunk, and make no business, make no question about it. Just, you know, you have aircraft, you have the airplanes who could easily do this. Why didn't that take place? That's my question. Thank you.
Thank you. Mikael, would you like to comment?
Yes, I agree that that the world community could have done much more, and that this is very radical things, I think. But something like that could be good, actually, to promote the local fishermen and the villages and give them an income. So something in that way could be good. And we are looking into to create job opportunities in these areas through employing this kind of people with small scale of fisher companies and fisher families, and to do this business. And to do that, of course, we need a cooperation with the governments, and that all the people there and the companies follow the rules how to do this business. So that's very important. I mean, to put pressure in a good way at the authorities in the area, of course, to the good of their own people. Yes.
Thank you, Mikael. I would like you to elaborate a bit about the options. Is there? You're talking about fishery, of course. Is there any other options that the pirates then have?
We are not really targeting that just the pirates or like that. It's the whole situation in the whole country and the whole area. I believe that need to get changed. And there are many options to produce things. There are fishery, of course, there are mining, there are mineral resources, there are farming, it's possible with farms, and with many different areas, and also for production, for the local market and to export. So there are many, many possibilities. And because they now nearly import everything, it's a good opportunity to start to produce small scale and large scale to fill the needs of the market in the countries.
Yes, thank you, thank you. Now we have another question, please.
My name is Omar Haj Bilad. I'm a Swedish citizen. I live here for the last 26 years. But originally I grew up in Berbera area. So I knew how the area was before. I went there at the end of 2012. And when I went there, I saw that everything has changed. The nature of the land, the nature of the sea, what used to be there is no longer there. And in fact, that is due to the contamination of the waste which is laid down in the sea and then washed out to the shore. Before, there used to be millions of species, different species of fish, which used to live in the area. Now, the area is dead. And I think it is part of the international marine force, which are going to fight against the pirates. Their duty is also to fight against the companies which are dumping the wastes in the Somali coasts and the illegal fishing, which I'm sure these two things were the costs of what we call them now. The international community calls them the pirates. And I think there is a universal, saying which says it's better to cure the costs rather than to cure the disease itself or to fight the. So I have never heard any ship caught shipping illegally in the Somali coasts. I heard the pirates, but I have never heard. And the Speaker of the Somaliland Parliament mentioned that they caught some 37 or so boats fishing, illegally. So I would like to ask, is also fighting against the illegal fisheries is also part of your of the international marine force which are fighting the pirates? That's my question.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Okay. Yes?
Yeah, it's quite simple. The third point on the EU mandate is to monitor fishing in the area, which means that during my period we have very close monitoring of fishing vessels in the area, which more or less means that considering the economical zone of what is Somalia, and there are waters outside Somalia, you have to have a permission from the state of Somalia to fish there, which we followed up. And as far as I know, and I'm quite I have quite good knowledge, we haven't found since 2009 any illegal fishing. Probably, and I think you're right, there has been very much illegal fishing in the area from the beginning. But since the naval forces has been present and with the mandate to monitor fishing, the illegal fishing has ceased.
Thank you. Another question, please.
I have no question, but I was there before Håkan. I was with that one.
You're from?
Yeah, in Swedish Navy. Before Håkan.
Okay.
I think you asked a question in the beginning. The question was why pirates become more and more and more. These guys are very smart guys. Sometimes they are fishermen. Sometimes they are smuggling people from Somalia to Yemen. And next time they are pirates. But they are not, they have different skills to do. So it's not easy. And the problem, and the other problem was the mandate that we had in that time. We couldn't do nothing until we see they doing action actively. But maybe they was changed later, I don't know. So these people were very smart, and there's a lot of money there. I don't know, maybe in the other mafia groups involved, but there's a lot of money there. These people, a lot of them, they are not fishermen. They can, the other trick they had, they can kidnap what we call mother boats, little big boats, to kidnap the other big ships. So these guys are very smart guys. Though we cannot, it's not easy to catch them. They can change and take different faces. Though, so you don't think just the people just go and kidnap in hijack in ships. There are different irkis and different in skills.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. Would you like to comment?
I could do so. Yes. It's quite correct. However, as I said before, the number of pirated ships and attacks have decreased significantly since 2011. During the period from 2008 to 2011, it was just as you mentioned. Frequently, we got close to and visited on board small and large vessels, dhows and small fishing vessels and speedboats, and noticing that since we don't see the boat involved in a pirate action, we don't see ladders or hooks on board, then we can't take any measures against them, because then we will have to see them as fishermen. It's what we call pirate paraphernalia, measures to do piracy. We met a lot of ships or small boats transporting refugees from the Somali coast to Yemen, very often. We support them with water and food and fuel so they can get over. So it was difficult. The mandate has changed, as I also mentioned, during 2012, which means that we are now allowed even the European Union to take proactive measures inside the territory of Somalia. And that is one of the reasons why the actions have stopped. That means that we can easily spot where there are storage of fuel, boats, guns, whatever. Then we can take action against them in a proactive measure, which means that the prerequisite for pirate activity vanish.
Thank you. Another question?
Thank you. One of the questions I say could have been then to establish some sort of a total exclusive zone around in the waters around. Have that been discussed earlier?
Thank you.
Not that I know of, but I think it should be very difficult to create a total maritime exclusion zone around the Horn of Africa, mainly because that you will have to apply such a vast amount of naval assets to be able to fulfill and uphold an exclusion zone. When you sail from Mombasa, which is in the very southern part, it's in Kenya, but it's very close to the Somali border. It takes you, with an average speed of 12 to 14 knots, it takes you 6 days to go to Djibouti. That's the whole coastline. To be able to monitor this coastline with naval vessels and uphold an exclusion zone will take so much measures that it wouldn't be any way economical to defend.
Okay, another question from, yes, please.
Sorry, I got an answer.
Okay, thank you. Oh, good, thank you. There, we had one down there. Yeah.
Hello, my name is Ahmed Abdi, and I'm from Somaliland. First, in passing, I should mention that I'm a geographer, and I was
have the microphone closer to, yes, thank you.
The map was a little wrong. Yes. I should say that the size of Puntland, the boundary was not in the right place. So maybe next time you use a better, more correct map than this one.
Okay.
It's just a proposal.
Yeah.
I thank very much Mr. Michael for expressing so eloquently the accomplishments of the people of Somaliland in creating a state of their own without any international support, and a peaceful one for that matter in an area which is very well known for being a violent area. I also thank Mr. Håkan for expressing the same thing as Mr. Michael, saying that it's a peaceful place, a peaceful country. I per se that the people of Somaliland really attach a high price on the reputation of their country as a peaceful one. That is the most important thing which they really love to hear, because they have been investing in this name for so long. About 4, 5, 6 weeks ago, when Britain and America mentioned that there were some security concerns in the area, the people of Somaliland all rushed to the streets to express their dissatisfaction with these statements in the form of demonstrations. That tells you that it is not the government which is guarding the peace in the area. It is the people who matters. And the people should see really something which reciprocates with what they have done. I would suggest that the Swedish Navy, which has a good name in the area too, should do an exception for Somaliland and make, instead of calling the whole area as a risk area, it should accept Somaliland and make it stand out as a peaceful one in conjunction with the words which we are saying, so that investment and international concern and recognition later will come to the country. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Would you like to comment, perhaps Mikael, about it's the people that matters?
Yeah, I think the greatest resource of Somaliland is the people of Somaliland, and that they need encouragement and hope and people who believe in them to change their situation by themselves. Not just aid, but to create real companies that can provide money for the country without receiving aid all the time. And that's the wishes of the government also, both in Somaliland and in Somalia.
Thank you. Håkan, would you like to comment?
Yeah, okay, so we know that Somaliland is a functional area. That, of course, we consider when we act in the area. However, as we act on a mandate and a mission from the Swedish government, we have to consider the Swedish government's view on Somaliland, and that is essential.
Thank you. Yes, would you like to have another question up here at the second row?
Yes.
My name is.
It's on. It's supposed to be on.
My name is Abdurrazak. On behalf of the civil society, I have to contribute. We have a lot of proposals when we're talking about the pirates, how we reduce. Therefore, there is a youth at risk. When we need to reduce the pirates outside of the Somaliland, it's not the only way we fight on the sea by using for our army. But we need to make awareness for the youngest generation in Somalia.
Yeah.
Therefore, we need to educate them, to give them a lot of opportunities to create jobs. Because of the Somali people, they were brave in the early year. Since there was clubs that great Somalia, the international ships, they come in for illegal fishing. On the other side, the people they will believe it was a dumping state for the sea. So it was a lot of aggressive. So, but finally, I recommend for the British and the European Union or the Swedish government, they have to invest for the civil society how they can generate the youth at risk. That's my comment.
Thank you. Thank you. Mikael, would you like to say something?
I agree.
Yeah.
Yes.
But how can you do that? How can you find more investors or investment?
Security is very.
Yes, it's essential.
It's essential.
Yes.
Really, but in Somaliland, we have a level of security, so it's possible to do business there. But of course, it's not a recognized country, and that's a huge problem because we don't know the status of the country. You know, there is uncertainty about banks, about insurance, about many of those questions that you need to answer to run a big business in this area. So, I mean, if Sweden should recognize Somaliland, a lot of things should happen. Really. That should solve a lot of problems. Really, because then it would be possible to establish companies in an easier way and to get more investors. But today we are working and looking at many different areas, how to do this in a small-scale way and in large-scale ways with the situation that we have there right now. So it's possible. It's just that we need to find the possibility and the solution to do this.
Do you have a lot of contacts with people from other countries?
Yeah.
Europe, for example?
Yeah, both Europe, Asia, Australia.
Yeah.
Many people are very interested in this because the question of Somaliland is a global one because of the piracy, and for Sweden we have a common future with these people because we have a lot of them here with us. A lot of them are living here. And to be honest with you, we don't understand what those people who are living here are doing. Many of them work as cleaners, they work as guards, cab drivers, etc. And then they take off their small salary and they send it to Somaliland to build schools, to support hospitals, to build houses for their families. That's an amazing thing that they are doing, that we don't understand the power and the generosity that those people have inside of them.
Thank you. Now I think we had a question in the front row. Yeah. Yes.
I think I have a very short question concerning the piracy. When it comes to international funding, there is a lot of resource that comes from the international community in line with piracy. And most of the money goes to international organizations like UNDP, ILO, and I'm talking of Somaliland. And there is a lot of resources that are going there. The resource going to the authorities, Somaliland authorities, and is very limited, which means that there is a need, and it is a kind of a donor-driven resource. And that would need to be reconsidered, truly speaking. I mean, the Somaliland authorities should get resource, they plan on their own projects. While the money going to the international community stakeholders like UNDP, ILO, all these organizations, their administrative costs and related matters is consuming the resource. Thank you very much indeed.
Yes, thank you. Would you like to comment, anyone? No? Okay, the time is running up. We'll have one last question.
Maybe I can sit.
Yeah, it's okay. You can sit. No problem.
As I said before, my name is Omar Hachbila. I'm a Swedish citizen. I'm very proud. I'm very proud to be a Swedish citizen. And as you have mentioned, that the problem in Somaliland is the recognition problem. And I think in this manner, there are many important people, decision makers, who can listen to me. As a Swedish citizen, originating from Somaliland, have we got the right to say and ask the Swedish government to recognize Somaliland so that there are several thousand Somaliland originally came from Somaliland who are citizens of Sweden, who cast their votes and members of the boards? Is it possible that we can ask the Swedish government on behalf of us to recognize Somaliland?
Thank you. Thank you very much. I would just like to ask you, both of you, we're running out of time, but could you just tell me quite briefly what do you think about the future when it comes to your perspective and yours, Håkan, first?
The future from Swedish Armed Forces perspective, more or less, is that we are always able to carry out the tasks that were given by the Swedish government. From a personal view, I think it's essential that we continues to contribute, and that is mainly not considering the pirates against merchant ships, but is to make a safe passage for the food transportation to the needing in Ethiopia, in Somalia, in Kenya. During my 9 months in the area, we escorted approximately 87,000 tons of food to be able to feed the more than 3 million starving people. So that is the main reason why I took part, and I think that is, you have to bear in mind that it's worth the effort. Thank you.
Mikael?
I think that there is a bright future for Somaliland, especially if they continue to try to work and to get the human rights to function in the society, and to work on the democracy. And if they are being recognized or not, I believe that the answer is not just recognition. The answer is the power in the people themselves, you know. Because I believe that inside the people, they have the strength and the power to turn their situation and do something good about it. And they need freedom to do this. And this is the job of the government of Somaliland and Somalia, to give them freedom so that they can develop themselves and to attract investors who see the value in those areas and in the people in these areas. And the possibilities are not just the problems, because there's a lot of possibilities too. And those possibilities need to be addressed. So that is my point of view for the future.
I would like to thank you, both of you, very much for coming here today and for having this very interesting discussion. And thank you all for coming here to listen. And as a small token of our appreciation for you taking your time to come here, I would like to hand over a book.
Thank you. Trevligt. Ja.